Hello and welcome. I'm Frank Noppenberger, your host for today's very special show. And today we're going to pay tribute to Mr. Lou Kosa, the cornerstone of women's athletics at East Brunswick High School and the most successful girls soccer coach in the state of New Jersey. I'm joined by three of his former athletes. First, we have from the class of '03, Justine Barbato, who was the captain of her soccer team at Montclair, and she's currently teaching and coaching freshman soccer at East Brunswick. Welcome. Tell us about your freshman team this year.
Freshmen, the past actually couple years, we had great seasons. We won the freshman tournament this year, finished 9-1-1, and I think the next 3 years of East Brunswick soccer is looking bright.
Good.
Great group of girls.
Good. Our next special guest, girls soccer at East Brunswick started probably in 1981. This young lady was one of the first athletes to go through the whole program for 4 years. Leslie Acevedo. You maybe know her success as Leslie Luce when she played in 1984. She was an all-area performer, and her daughter, as a matter of fact, made all conferences like her daughter, Becca. Welcome, and I can't wait to hear some stories about way back in the 80s. For instance, real quick, where did you guys practice?
We practice on the field, the lower fields of the hill, or we go in the back. There was no...
There was no field, so where the current turf fields are and
Exactly.
where the old baseball field was,
Exactly.
right? That's right. Back then, no one knew that. So you guys didn't know that. And of course, our last guest is Heather O'Reilly, class of '03. Heather's got the distinction, correct me if I'm wrong, the only athlete who won a state championship in high school, an NC2A championship in college, a World Cup, and a gold medal. Is there anyone else in there?
Well, I haven't won a senior World Cup yet. I won with the youth teams, but in the 2003 World Cup, in 2007 World Cup, we got bronze.
Okay.
So this summer in Germany, I'm looking for my first gold medal at the World Cup with the senior team.
And what's the senior? The age, is it an age category? When does it become a senior?
Yeah, I mean the full national team. I haven't won
Right.
a World Cup with the full national team. So basically when I was a U19, they had a youth World Cup, and now with the full national team, I'm still waiting for my first gold.
I'm sure you'll get it. Okay, real quick, we'd like to hear about your team's accomplishments when you played for Coach Kosa. Leslie?
We were GMC champs, just like the teams are nowadays. It was a big thing. I don't remember the competition as hard it is now. I mean, seeing my daughter playing, I mean, the games of the last couple of years have been overtime, and I think the other surrounding schools have really hyped up the college, the soccer, as girls soccer, as we were. East Brunswick started a long time ago. I mean, I played travel 25 years ago. I don't think there's many travel teams back 25 years ago. So that was a accomplishment back then. But
And I think they were state champs in '85, the year after you left.
Yes, they
But I
were.
know you won the division. Actually, back then it was the MCAC, which was called the County Championship. Justine, you want to talk for the class of '03?
Yes, Heather and I were the same class. We won state championship, the last one in 2001. We won 2 GMC championships, Red Division champions. Great
Right,
4
Abby.
years.
And were you guys number 1 in the country then? No.
We were definitely top
10.
Yeah, definitely top 10. I'm not sure of the exact number.
Heather, did she miss anything?
No, I think Justine did a pretty good job there.
Yeah, she did.
But she didn't talk about all the fun we had.
Right. Well, there you go. Leading into that, Heather, give me your favorite Kosa story.
It's not all about winning the titles. Right?
Exactly, and that's what this is about. This is just a conversation about Coach Kosa.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that we, had the best time playing high school soccer, and at my level, with the national team, a lot of the girls decided not to play high school soccer for whatever reason. But a lot of them didn't choose to play high school soccer because they didn't see the value in it, and they wanted to sort of commit themselves to playing with their club team year-round. And for me, growing up in East Brunswick, I mean, the legacy and tradition of East Brunswick soccer because of Luke Kosa was just incredible and so strong. So for me, it was a no-brainer. I wanted to be part of the high school team. I found incredible value, not only in the level of soccer, but also I got to play with my best friends who I've been playing with for so many years. So it was great soccer and some great memories made there.
But you avoided the question. Your favorite Kosa story.
Oh, oh boy. You know what? I think that one of the things that I'll definitely remember about Kosa is that he just let us be us, and he sort of was the kind of guy that had the belief if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And he had some great stuff going on at East Brunswick, the Lady Bears soccer. So he didn't have to do too much coaching, and he let us just be free and sort of express ourselves on the field. So that's what I'll always remember. He always said I had 3 speeds: fast, faster, and fastest. So I always tried to sort of bring that to the table every time. And we were high schoolers, so we kind of got into some trouble at practice, but for the most part, we were good girls. A lot of times he would tell us to go for about 25-minute runs around campus, and him and Coach Merrigan assumed that we were, running around campus. And once we'd loop up towards the locker rooms, towards the front of the school, we would pop in there and hang out for about 15 minutes.
I've heard
chat
that.
about
I heard
Actually, water on your face.
We wouldn't pop in there. We would just walk, because he would make the captain start the practice, and he would slowly wake his way. And so we would walk the field and just really, okay, everybody just walk until he starts coming down. All right, he's coming. We better start running. Just a slow jog. And I'm sure he knew we were doing that, but it was still always a.
So that's your Leslie. That's your favorite Kosa story.
That was one of my. Yeah.
That's the
One of them?
tradition that lasted all these
Oh, yeah,
years. That's
exactly.
going in the locker
Look,
room.
he knew.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's the best part about it.
Exactly. The fear of him. I mean, he would never. He was always positive. He would never say anything bad. But he, obviously, when the cat is away, the mouse will
he
play.
knew. How about you, young lady? With all your sisters playing for him, if not one of your favorite stories, how about one of your sisters?
Well, I was talking to my twin sister, who was reminding me of some stories. She's a little, what's the word you want to describe her? Eccentric. She fooled around a little bit more, I guess you can say. She was warming up the goalie one time, and the ball kind of got away from the goalie and smacked Kosa in the face, knocked his glasses off his face. I think that was the first time I saw him angry at that moment.
No.
My other little sister, she's graduated 07. She had Kosa for a year, and then she had Coach Brady. But Mr. Kosa had a cane. He had millions of canes, but he had one with an eagle, apparently. I don't remember the eagle, but he used to say to them if they were doing something wrong, "Don't make this eagle sore," meaning don't make me raise my cane.
That was his favorite.
Yeah.
And they said that. Justine, you're in coaching now, right? And I'm sure you're going to eventually get into it. And Leslie, did you ever coach the young kids?
I did just softball, just rec softball, not even soccer.
So the question I have is what lessons did you take from Kosa and you applied to your teams?
I think one lesson I take is embrace the talents that you have on your team. Try not to overcoach them. Be confident that what you did at practice is going to show on the field. You don't need to move them around like statues on the field and telling them what to do every 2 seconds. You have to just trust your players. And I think
Leslie?
I got that from Kosa.
He did that with us also amazingly, and left, 20 years probably earlier. He did. We knew what we were doing, and just kind of let us, he would be squatting on the floor and just kind of watching, observing the field. He loved the sport, but he didn't say much. But I also remember he also made everybody feel a part of the team. Even if you were he never said anything negative about you, and he always made you feel, if you were a sub coming in just to give your starter a little break, a little water break, he always made you feel good, and you're a part of this team, and you're doing your job. Even if a girl gets hurt and you get to take their place, that was your job for that particular moment, and that's a good thing. Everybody is part of the team. It's a team sport, and everybody's important. The starters, as opposed to a sub or a person that might not even get in the game. You're here as a cheerleader, then to cheer your team, and that's a good lesson.
Heather, you've had many legendary coaches. His style at the higher level, is it more hands-on at the higher level, or are they kind of more like Coach Kosa, let the thoroughbred run?
I would say it's a little bit of a combination of different styles. Anson Dorrance, for instance, at Carolina, though, had a very similar style to Lou Kosa in that he kept practices short and consistent. With Coach Kosa's practices, we knew exactly what we were in for, so he had a great consistency there, and he kept them short and sweet. And I think a well-known joke is that we had Oprah practices, which meant we were home by 4 o'clock so we could watch Oprah on TV. And practice started probably at what time? 2:45 or so. But you know what? I think that it kept it fresh, it kept it fun, and we loved coming to practice. And the seasons always went too short.
See, my thing is, as I talk to the coaches, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And if by the end of the season, if your legs are tired, you're not going to be as fresh. And I think that's why we've had so much success later in the seasons, that our legs were fresh. And, that I could be wrong, but I just felt that we were
I think
fresh.
physically and mentally, I mean, if you're having fun and staying into it, at that point in your lives, you have so much going on in high school, and I think that, he definitely didn't burn out any of the girls. Everybody loved being there, so I'll always remember that about him.
Your best times, your happiest times, your most fun, would that be playing high school soccer for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of happy times in soccer, but those high school memories are way up there. I mean, we would sing so loud on the bus.
Yeah.
You don't sing anymore?
Alma mater coming up the hill.
Yeah, the alma mater
that
coming
back
up the
then?
hill.
Leslie, tell the audience, and we'll get back to about the tradition that some people may not know. Every time
You go up the hill, you sing standing here, you're up on our hilltop, is our alma, and we go screaming, and you would just like bang the ceiling going up.
we don't stand because you're not supposed to stand on
Okay,
buses.
yeah, we don't
No,
stand
you
on the
bang the
buses.
windows.
Yeah, you bang the windows, and every time you go, no matter if you won, you lost, you just screamed going up the hill.
That's
a great point, because I remember losing some tough games, but everybody still did it. That's a really good point
That's
that I
one of the
forgot
few
about.
traditions we have that when I started here in '77, it didn't start then, but it's continued the whole time. But high school,
It's a privilege. I mean, just like back when I was there, you made the team. It's like a family. You're like honored. You're on the Lady Bears East Brunswick soccer team. Wow, you must be like cool, And it just was like a nice team. And just my daughter. I mean, closest friends, just like you said, Heather. The closest friends are from soccer. I mean, they're a great bunch of kids. Obviously, you love the sport. You're there how many hours, with travel or with school, and it's just an honor to be on a team, a privilege to be on a team such as this.
now most fun for you, coaching freshmen now, and that's got to be fun because not a lot of pressure on you. You hope you win, everyone plays.
Pressure.
Or playing. What did you enjoy more?
Definitely playing. I try to jump in and play at practice as much as possible. I have to actually contain myself when I'm on the sidelines coaching. Sometimes the ball's coming out of bounds. I'm like reaching my foot to try to get it. But I love coaching, but playing, that's where my heart is.
Okay, since you were talking, you're first up on this one. If Lou was here right now, by the way, what did you call him? Kosa?
Probably Kosa.
Yeah.
It wasn't even Mr. Kosa
It might
back
have been.
then?
I mean, when we addressed him, we would probably say Mr. Kosa, but I don't,
Yeah.
Everyone, it's like our current coach is Brady.
Yeah.
They don't call him Mr. Brady, Coach it's Brady. It's just like,
Yeah.
and that's not out of disrespect for anyone.
No.
It's just that's the way it goes. Okay,
Maybe Mr. Kosa. Jeez,
Sometimes, I don't know.
Yeah.
if he were here today, what would you want to say to him?
I would like to thank him for a great 4 years, for all the fun and all the success that we had, for helping mold my coaching style, and just for all the memories, state championship, my friends, everything. Really made my high school career.
Leslie?
I would say, like, well done. He did leave a legacy behind. I mean, I think I read that he did help started the East Brunswick soccer.
He was our first soccer coach.
Right. So I would say, well done. He did leave a legacy behind with soccer, and he was a part of that whole.
Heather?
And I think that I would add, I agree with what the women said before me, but I would say that, that I have a lot of respect for that man. I would say that his loyalty to the program is so impressive to me. I'll do a coaching clinic for about 2 days and get tired and want to go home. And I mean, I cannot believe that he did this for 30 years.
Well, I can answer that. I mean, even last year, he was going to the soccer games. He drove his car up. You let him go to the field in the back. His arm was like broken. I mean, I don't know, or he had a sling on his arm.
Yeah.
And he's still there. And he's in the back, so you can't really see the whole game. But he wanted to be there. I mean, he wasn't even coaching. He still wanted to be. Couldn't walk to the field. He drove up to see the kids, the love of the sport, the dedication there.
Yeah, that dedication was just unmatched. It's so impressive.
I always, when I was talking to the media or someone, I said, if there were a song, and you guys can comment on this, that described him, it would be Sinatra's My Way. I mean, was he like atypical of everyone? He did it his way.
Yeah.
I mean, his attire was a little different.
Stylish.
Jeans, boots, the cane. But I think he just did it his way.
Yeah.
The old, I remember, I don't know if it was one of you guys, we were playing Randolph, and, the coach, Chrissy Jeremiah, was that? And she said, Frank, we practice for 3 hours every day for you guys, and you still come out and beat us. How can that be? And I felt, I gave her the let the thoroughbred run story. But he did it his way.
Yeah. And
he didn't vary much, but he was very cerebral about his coaching. He would be watching. He would not a hollerer. And so I always say that he did it his way.
Yeah, I think to add to that, I remember the first day that he introduced himself my freshman year. He was like, yeah, most people would say that we play a 4-4-2 or whatever formation we were playing. He was like, I like to call it a 2-4-4. And I was just like, you know what? I respect that because, like he said, he just does it his way. He put his stamp on the game and on the program.
Yeah, he just, I don't know if I've ever met anyone that didn't get along with him and like him. He was like a grandpa, like a dad, and you girls just loved him. Yeah. Let's go to a different thing. If your team played the current team, your daughter's team.
They would beat us.
Okay, you spoke up.
Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah. Who would win? The team you played on with Patty Rushnack, who was all-state.
Yeah.
You were all-conference.
Yeah.
Or this current team?
They would beat us. We didn't have how many clinics and all these special trainings. I mean, we were lucky that we had the travel. This is 25 years ago. We did have the travel. Experience, but we did have the toughness. We were definitely dedicated and tough. I mean, we were the Vikings. We did Hammersholt, back then, and we started a little earlier. And we were crazy now, but now, nowadays they just throw their bodies. I mean, they don't care that they might break something or tear something or whatever. And they're definitely more. I mean, you can watch my year is not on TV.
We do have tapes, by the way.
Really?
And we're going to show it.
Oh, please. But I probably wouldn't want to see it. But I would see even then. I'm like, wow. And they're like, it's a little bit more finessey kind of, but not like it is now. I mean, the girls now, some of those girls, they can have that ball on their foot, and you can't even tell that it's separate. It's kind of amazing. But I mean, our dedication would probably be the same, and maybe we would give up a really strong fight. But I think they've been groomed and trained a little more than we did, obviously.
Who's going to be the spokesman for the 03 team?
I don't know. From the look on her face, I think that we both kind of agree on this one.
Yeah.
I think that we had a pretty special group, our crew, and between our grade in particular and the grade above us, it was a really, really great group of athletes. So I think that we'd like to compete with any of them. But I would say that I think that today kids are being encouraged to focus on one sport more. And I'm not sure about the group that's at East Brunswick now, but I would say that's maybe the one difference. Maybe they've focused on soccer primarily a little bit more than even our year. We had so many multiple sport athletes. That was maybe the edge I give them, but that could be an edge or that could be, not an edge, depending on how you look at it. But I think we had a pretty good group.
You had 4 that came up as freshmen,
Yep.
started right away.
4.
Sylvia, you two, and your sister.
Yeah.
Is that correct? See that?
Yeah.
But good
Even
memory.
the old man. Okay, as you know, I'm always talking to parents and coaches and former athletes about making coaches better, and what makes this successful coach or her a successful coach. What would you tell a coach to look at Kosa to be like? I know you already talked about let the thoroughbred run, let him play, but what other quality would you say that coach should be more like Kosa? And it's a tough question, I know. See, I think he had a lot of intangibles, right? I think he had a lot of intangibles, but anybody?
Well, one thing I think more nowadays, I think the parents try to be more involved in the sports and with their children and with the high school. But Kosa, like you were saying, likes it his way, did it his way, and he listened to the parents, but he didn't let them overtake his thinking and how he wanted to do things. I think that's a huge thing. You have to trust yourself and trust that what you're doing is the right thing. And he definitely.
I think it's
like that.
difficult. 25 years ago, I don't even think my mother knew who my coach was. I mean, let alone if she went to a game. I mean, she was supportive, and she took me places. Obviously, I played travel ball, but nothing like the involvement that we are in. And sometimes I think sometimes the parents actually step on the line, over the line. And I think it's very difficult to be a coach. You can't make everybody happy. I mean, how come you're not playing my kid? And I think it's wise to just say, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm doing it my way, and not listen to every little bird that comes and whispers in your. And it's hard to do, and you're gonna make people mad. Why didn't you play my daughter? Why didn't you play that? And just know it. If they've never coached before, like I said, I only coached like softball. I was an assistant. I just was helping out because they needed it. And even that, there's a lot of pressure that people don't realize. It's hard to be a coach. It's hard to make everybody happy all the time.
So could you imagine the pressure the year before they were state champs? I mean, you guys have experienced, you don't want to lose to GMC.
Oh, yeah.
It's not so much that we got to win
Well,
the
that's why you
GMC,
felt-
right?
Yeah,
No.
We don't want to be the team to lose. Like my daughters was the first team not to win, and that's all they talk about. We were the first team not to win the GMC.
I think we were on that team.
And I think it's
Yeah.
hard. The pressure is harder. Like this year for the GMCs, for the girls this year, it gets harder and harder every year. And that's all they don't even care. We just have to win it because everybody's trying to get us. The legacy is there, and everybody tries to beat East Brunswick and to get the GMCs.
Of course.
And it's hard.
And I'm sure you'll echo this. I was just reading an article in a coaching magazine, and the biggest mistake coaches make is they try to make everybody happy. And it's impossible. It's impossible, right? I mean, even at your level, at that highest level.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, they definitely try to please everybody, and in pleasing everybody, you're not maybe telling the whole truth a lot. And I think that Mr. Kosa definitely spoke the whole truth. He let everybody know what their role would be on the team and was pretty clear with that. So I think that would be one special quality that he had. And I think secondly, he didn't yell on the sideline, and I think that was definitely appreciated by us on the field. And I think at a certain point, I think Justine mentioned it earlier, I mean, we've put the work in. It's not beneficial to be scaring the players or intimidating the players on the sideline. Just give them the most confidence you can and be calm. And I think that Kosa did that so well.
I would say he always allowed the kids to play free of failure, right? If you made a mistake, he wasn't one of those coaches, take them out right away.
Yeah.
And some people believe you got to play with that pressure. I always felt his success was he allowed them to play. And if you made a mistake, hey, you just move on and not worrying about making mistakes. Because then if you're playing, looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
Who wants to comment the post-game ritual?
Well, I'm going to talk about halftime ritual first.
Okay.
Mrs. Kosa would always bring us oranges, cut up, ready for us to eat, and we were so excited, looking forward to that every game. If we didn't get it, it felt weird. We're like a little upset about it. And after, Mrs. Kosa would make the best chocolate chip cookies ever, and especially during GMC time, they were amazing. And she'd always walk over, no matter how the game went, and they always made us feel so much better. And
Yeah, most of that stops when you're about 12 years old.
You
but
don't
for
remember
me,
the
we got
I
in
don't
high
remember
school.
the cookies.
I don't remember not having cookies
No,
there, and
every-
not picking up oranges.
Oh, the oranges! I definitely remember the oranges.
Yeah.
And the other thing I remember about Mrs. Kosa, who's a lovely lady, is she had a unique way of encouraging out there. her voice.
Yeah.
You could always hear Mrs.
Yeah.
Kosa there at the games.
She was just as dedicated as Mr. Kosa. Always there.
And did you know he was also a baseball coach here?
Yes, I
for us?
heard.
He was a head baseball coach for a bunch of years.
Mr. Lane was telling me some stories today.
We've only had 2 women's soccer coaches at East Brunswick, Lou and Kevin Brady. 3 JV coaches, Patty Dunn, first couple of years. You were probably here then. She was a phys ed teacher.
Oh, she was at Frost, but she was an art. You said her name at the bank.
It was her married name is Dunn.
Yeah, but she wasn't my coach.
Well, that you didn't play JV. You know,
Oh,
come on, JV,
yeah,
come
Right
on.
up to the top.
Skipped right over that.
And then Miss Regalado.
Yeah,
remember?
Regalado was my.
And then Merrigan. Yeah. So there's a lot of that to be said in there about tradition.
Continuity.
Okay. One more last time for a Kosa story. Anybody? How about?
Oh, I have one. It's not really funny, but I just remember that I played when I was a freshman. My twin and I were both on varsity, and my older sister, who was a junior, was on varsity. And older sister didn't get in too much, but I remember one game, all 3 of us were out in the field, and I just remember him saying, this was the first time that I've ever had 3 sisters on the field at once. So it's probably a special memory for Kosa.
Right, well, I want to thank you 3 for taking time out of your busy schedule to help us pay tribute to Coach Kosa. Like I said before, most successful coach, women's soccer coach in the state of New Jersey. He started women's soccer here in East Brunswick. He set the tone, and I know we miss him. And again, I thank you for being part of this and sharing this special moment. And for our audience out there, a few years ago, Coach and I did a tape. I believe it was after one monumental win. And you'll be able to see that show right after this. So again, I'm Frank Noppenberger. Thank you, and go Bears.
Lou Kosa again talking with the team. He's been here before. East Brunswick's been state champs in '86 and '87, looking for their 3rd title. Again, it speaks of the rich tradition and history of this team, which all started with that gentleman right there, Lou Kosa.
An executive council member, David Zimmerman from the NISOA, who will make the presentation to Coach Kosa. It is in recognition for his outstanding contributions in the field of interscholastic soccer and his record of sportsmanship and professionalism in the game of soccer. Congratulations, Lou.
Hello, and welcome to Sports Talk. I'm your host today, Frank Noppenberger, and with us in this special show is our retired girls soccer coach, Mr. Lou Kosa. Lou Kosa, for some of you who may not know, is the most successful girls soccer coach in the state of New Jersey, and possibly has the most possible number of wins. That depends on parochials and private schools, but for right now, he's most successful public school girls soccer coach. Lou, let me just go through a welcome, by the way, Lou.
Thank you very much.
Let me just go over a couple numbers here and correct me if I'm wrong. 527 wins, 63 losses. From first program was in 1978, and then you retired last year, which was 2005. In that time, eight state titles,
Right.
which I'm sure is unmatched anywhere. A #1 ranking in the country one year. That's the year you and I went down to receive the award in D.C. And GMC champions 24 years.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I would guess there's like 24 division titles in there and probably 20-something sectional titles. But, you know, we're not here just
Well,
to talk about that.
The sectional titles are kind of tough to go through because they really didn't have sections at that time.
In the beginning?
In the beginning.
In 1970s. In the 70s there weren't.
Right. They didn't really start with that until around the 80s.
All right, well, we're going to talk about that later, about the evolution, if that's the word, of girls soccer and how it's changed. But first, I think everyone wants to know about Louis Kosa. So we want the audience to tell us a little about you, Lou. I know you're a graduate of South River.
Right.
Okay, so tell us, you graduated from there when, you played what sports, then you went to college in New Jersey. Tell us a little bit.
Lived and born in South River, still do. Went to William Campbell School in South River.
The one that's no longer there.
That's just got, well, actually, they
put a
just
new one up.
put a new one up. Took the old one down, put a new one right up. It's unbelievable what they did. Played, I went to, again, going back, it's the South River High School, the old school.
Downtown.
And that's way downtown in the middle of South River. That's gone now too. I went to 1 year to Rutgers. My major at that point for the first time.
Before we get to Rutgers,
Sure.
At South River, they didn't have soccer back then, but I know you played football. Played
Right.
baseball also?
Football, baseball, basketball, the big three, so to speak, over there.
All right, and then you went to Rutgers for a year.
Right, and Trenton State, which is now College of New Jersey. Didn't play any. Well, I did intramurals over there, and that was it. Really,
Right. How did you end up at East Brunswick? I know there's a lot of East Brunswick South River connections, but
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of the old timers like me would like to know about that.
Well, we went. I went to, like I said, Trenton State, and then you had to. I guess they still do it, or you have to go and
Student teach?
do student teaching. And I was fortunate. One of my old math teachers over in South River was John Budnar, and since it was very close, East Brunswick, they had just started, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago with a high school in East Brunswick. So I sort of talked to John Budnar, who was then our department chairman at East Brunswick, and he asked me would I do my student teaching over there, and I said, sure, sounds good. And the last day I was there at East Brunswick, it was, I think his name was Joff Nunez. He was the superintendent at that time. And see, at that time, mathematics was like very hard to find.
Math teachers.
Math teachers. And so it worked out well. And, he came in to observe me. In fact, that day I had, I guess it was 8 or 9 other schools looking at me, so to speak, in the classroom and all like that. And at the end, he just walked over and asked me if I would consider teaching there,
Right.
which I did. And
What year was that? 62, 63?
62.
That was good for my
62.
memory.
All right.
And I know you didn't coach football, and I'm not sure if they had soccer in 62, but I know you coached baseball.
Yeah.
What else did you coach at EB?
At East Brunswick, no. Well, the only thing I did was, I did try to coach. We did, I guess, for 2 or 3 years, they would have the little kids come up and, we'd show them different things like that. And I was really interested in coaching football, and unfortunately, I didn't,
Well, I know you
didn't get
interviewed.
it. So
I know you interviewed, and the story was it was between you and Charlie King, the former principal superintendent. Right?
yeah,
And then Charlie went to football, and then
and I
didn't
went
you go to soccer?
Actually, not for 2 years,
No?
2 or 3 years. And then, like I really wasn't doing anything, so I would help out a little bit. I used to work with the punters,
Right.
and kickoffs and stuff like that. And then Leon Floric, who, in fact, he was also when I did my student teaching, he was my cooperating teacher.
Right.
So it was like a good old South River boy
guy,
thing,
right.
and but it was interested. So I went there and I helped them out for a couple of years, and then they opened up a sophomore program,
Right.
and I did that for quite a few years. Like I think about 7, 8, whatever the case was.
For the audience out there, years ago, East Brunswick soccer, before girls, there was a varsity, a JV, a sophomore,
Right.
and 2 freshman programs at Churchill, one at
Right.
Churchill and one at Hammersholt. And the sophomores used to practice in the AM, correct?
Correct.
Right outside back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, Lou, so let's go back. So now Louie is our head girls soccer coach. We're going to jump around a little bit, but do you have a most memorable season and or game? I know I have a couple after watching you for 18 years.
I think the first memorable game that we had was in 1986. That was our first time that we made it to the States, you know, and the Group 4 level, and that was an outstanding game. We had some really young kids, and you know, with them being so involved in it and getting involved, you know, because if I go all the way back, you know, just back it off to 78, you know, we were just kick and run. By the time 86 came around, we had our own set.
Right.
In fact, I still use a lot of the set
Right.
pieces that we
So
use.
that was your first state championship?
Right.
And who was on that team? Give me a couple names. Let me.
Lori Feller.
Okay, that was the Lori Feller group, and that was down College of New Jersey. They played it.
Yes. Yes. I'm trying to. Yeah.
All right.
And we had Sue Kerr.
How about some games? Any memorable games?
Well, like I said, that first state tournament game was the big one because we finally, quote, made it. You know, so we got to the point where then we had a nice run for quite a few years there. We went to 86, 87,
89, 90,
89, 90, 92, 94,
96, and 01.
96, and now all of a sudden
Yeah.
they're catching up to us.
Well, I think soccer is gone, but how about that first game? You remember your first opponent as a varsity girls soccer coach?
It was North Brunswick.
North Brunswick, wow, years ago.
Yep.
All right. What I want to talk about now is how East Brunswick girls got started. It was the first year, of course, was in 78. Tell us where you practiced, because people out there, our audience thinks that those soccer fields were there forever. Remember, there was the apple orchard. There was no
The
soccer
apple, yeah.
fields. There was no soccer fields there. So where did we practice? Tell me about that first practice, because you've shared a couple stories.
Yeah, we got bussed over, and you know, since it was a brand new thing, you know, I figured
You got bused to Irwin School, right?
Irwin School, and I, you know, had my car, you know, in my big Ford over there, and I jump out, you know, and then the bus pulls up, and I figured, you know, wow, a bus, how many kids could be there? And when they pulled the bus up, I was, man, I couldn't believe it. There were 60 players, or, you know, 60 girls who wanted to play. So I'm, you know, like I said, I'm with the boys' background. I'm sitting there, and I'm going to be like a, you know, a tyrant. So I come over and said, "All right, girl, let's get going, right?" And you know, they all start cowering over there. They didn't know what was going to go on. So I said, "All right, you know, take a lap." So we sent around Irwin there, around the outskirts there. And then I grabbed two or three girls, and I said, "You guys are my, you know, leaders today. Circle them up." Now you're talking 60 kids, all circled up over there. Right? And so I'm screaming and yelling. I'm getting all like that, and so I said, "Oh, you know, do your jumping jacks." Everybody was okay with that. Do the sit-ups. There's no problem with that. And I said, "All right, you know, do some push-ups." Well, that was it. You know, they couldn't do a push-up. They, you know, maybe about 4 or 5 out of the 60 could do the 5 push-ups, right? So I'm sitting there, saying, "Oh, yeah." So we had to adapt and you know, or change our.
Right. There was a soccer club in town then, right? So some of these kids came in with experience, I'm sure.
I think that was, There weren't that. It wasn't. I think they were just starting it. They had the group starting over there, and I'll tell you what,
So
that played a big part for
right,
us.
so if you practiced at Irwin, is that where you played the games also?
No, we played the games right in the back of the
In the outfield?
outfield.
Because the boys varsity.
That's where the boys played.
Boys varsity was in the outfield of the current baseball field.
Right.
Football, because I was coaching then, we had to walk to Central School. That was always fun.
Fun, yeah.
And field hockey was out in the practice football field too.
Right.
Right, yeah, they were the days. Lou, we talked a little bit about girls soccer and how far they've come. What major changes have you seen with girls soccer over the years? Let's face it, you've been here from 78 to 05. From not being an Olympic sport to now it's one of the big-time sports.
Big time ones, right. Just the change itself in the type of kids that are playing and the skill levels are like unbelievable. Like I said, before I tried to get 5 push-ups, that was a lot. Now, like halfway through, maybe in the late 80s, they could do all those different things.
React to my assessment. My assessment of girls soccer over the years is very similar to girls basketball. We are leaving the finesse of the game into a power game and playing more like the boys. What do you think? You see it that way?
Well, I try not to. Okay, I still like the finesse part of it. Going through there and banging people, and you could hear the other coaches yelling at knock them down, and you could even see them taking legs out.
Right.
And I think because of the pros the way they're playing now, everybody thinks, well, if you get beat, just take them down, and then you'll restart the whole thing like that. That's one of the things that I really do not like.
You agree then it's become more of a physical game than the
Definitely.
finesse.
Right.
Yeah, I see that, and I don't know if it's the male influence on as coaches or what, but it's definitely more physical. And how about the last 2 games at Woodbridge, the GMC finals? Not at Woodbridge, but they were as physical as any game I've seen.
Exactly.
Right. What changes would you like to see in girls soccer, women's soccer?
Well, I think I saw Heather one time, and I mentioned, you guys have a timeout, don't you? Mm-hmm. And she says, yeah, they just instituted that, and like on the college level, I don't know if they still do it.
Right.
Okay, but one of the things I would like to see them do is have a timeout. We go for 45 minutes, or 40 minutes at the high school level. All right, if you're going to go 40 minutes, and and the kid's going to run for 40 minutes, I think it takes a lot out of the game because they start dying. They're not doing as much as they should be. I've been fortunate by having a lot of players. I still use the 5 or 6 man, putting subs in. And but you see, if we go away from that and we do give them that one timeout, I think it would make it a heck of a lot better game, because then you could keep your top players in there.
Well, this is going to sound like we rehearsed it, but I know you and I spoke about this last year, and being the chairman of soccer in the conference, I've tried to institute this into the regular season rules and regs, and all the soccer people, nope, they don't like it. They're purists, and that's okay. I was a purist. I was against the 3-point shot too way back when. But don't forget, soccer has evolved. Remember when they used to determine the winner of a tie game on corner kicks?
Corner kicks.
So eventually I see that timeout being instituted in there. Remember, there was never a shootout or a golden goal or a sudden
They
victory.
would just count the number of corner kicks or the number of times you'd kick the ball over the end line.
Or the game would end in a tie. And now we've got an overtime in women's soccer, girls at the high school level.
I'll tell you what, on that level, we weren't part of it, but one of the teams that we were going to play on the boys level, I think it was Newark Eastside, and I can't remember who the opponent was, but they went for full game, overtime, right? Another overtime, right? Now they got too dark. So then they had to come back the next day.
Right, that happened.
All right. They played another full game and another overtime before they finally got
Right, a winner, because that's what the rules used to be.
Right.
Now I believe they discontinue.
now continue.
Good. Louis, in the fall, after a lot of years in the fall, what are you going to miss the most? September 9th, which is opening day.
Opening day.
What are you going to miss the most? Or today is opening day of soccer practice.
In fact, I just rode by,
Yeah.
to cut the, because I come from South River, right across the road, and it's not
By
right
habit,
by.
your car just went in the entrance huh,
Yeah.
after all those years. Yep.
I don't know. I think I'm going to miss seeing the kids develop. And see if we have a team that we could,
Right.
really do something with.
I think most coaches, what they miss is that camaraderie, that togetherness you create with a team, and the fun and the relationships. And after a lot of years, that's tough.
It's going to be interesting.
And then the excitement of day games, of tournaments, right?
Well, see, I'm going to be probably at an advantage because I have my 10-year-old granddaughter and my 13-year-old grandson. They both play soccer, and they're down at the
Fairground.
Diedrichsons, and actually I'm down watching them at Central, and because my son is going to be away for a while, and his wife, is she has to travel. She don't get back from work until close to 6. So I'm like the
Soccer mom?
soccer mom.
Soccer.
Yeah, that's it.
soccer
Good
mom.
point.
Good.
That's a good word.
All right, Lou. You were very successful in boys baseball.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yes, you conference
We had
championship.
conference championship.
We were good. We were good.
I'll tell you what, that's one of the things that I really look back on. Like in '86, that was our first state championship in girls soccer. That was also, we won the
GMC over in New
GMCs
Brunswick.
Over New Brunswick,
We
right.
had one pitcher, Hockman, pitched all
Steve
4
Hockman,
games
right.
with the curveball.
And we had a
He had Wayne Zach, Siafi, Monaseski played third.
Third, right.
He smacked a lot of homers that last game.
Yes, we did.
I was there.
Some good hitters.
Louis, you've coached boys and girls. Could you compare them? We hit on that a little bit. Is one easier than the other?
If you asked me that 5 years ago, I'd say yeah. Now, there is no difference. It's like all molding together over there, and I don't know if I like it or I don't like it yet.
Yeah. Well, I believe successful coaches, and I'm sure you did this, they don't coach boys or they don't coach girls, they just coach. I mean, I think kids want to have demands on them, and they want to be challenged, and not to have high expectations of practice routine or workouts.
Right.
I think is a mistake, and I know you've done that. All right, we're going to steal a little bit of my man Kay and do a word association game like they do on that Yankee show. I'm going to give you a name, and then I want to hear what you have to say about it, okay? And don't pull a Yogi when I say Mickey Mantle, don't say what about him, all right? So the first one is Liam Florick.
Right.
And we hit him up.
We sort of like indicated that already because he was like my mentor in both the math, situation, and with he taught me a lot. Like when he let me go out there, and like I said, I was really geared in toward the football scene. But when he started talking to me about different things, what would you do there, and it was interesting.
And he was our second.
He was the
Tell us
second
about
coach.
that,
A lot of
since you-
people think that he was the first coach.
Men, we're talking boys
Right,
soccer.
but really he wasn't. Whitey Waldorf, who then moved, well, he was up at the high school. I think they still were like all grouped together, like 7th, 8th, 9th, right on through up at the high school there yet. And then when he moved, or when they moved the 7th and 8th grade down to, I guess it was Hammersholt. I think, well, I know. That's when Whitey said, well, because I think he was going to be like a department chairperson there at that time. So he went down to Hammersholt, and Leon just stepped up one, and he was coach for a long time.
Sure he was. He was he was Mr. Soccer in East Brunswick.
Yes, he was.
Okay, another Mr. Soccer, Dan Haston.
Dan Haston, I still remember as a young sophomore, as he was playing for me. I was, coaching
That's
the night.
interesting.
He had the strongest shot I have ever seen. All right, he could take a ball down with his back to the goal area, and in a split second, take a shot. And he was like a dynamite player.
Yep. Brian Merrigan, your longtime assistant.
My buddy. Yeah. Yeah, it's one guy that I'm going to miss. He, again, he helped me out a lot. He was one of the guys where he was, everybody used to say, or does say, that I'm like laid back and all like that. Well, he's the guy that keeps me straight.
No, he was a good
Every
man.
so often I'll go to him, all right, coach, we're going to do this. He says, Louis, sure you want to do that? Maybe, if we try it this way, I said, all right. Which he would sort of like temper it down.
All right, give you a couple schools. How about Westfield? What comes to mind when you think of them? I'll tell you what I think of. Those games down at College of New Jersey.
College of New Jersey. In fact, I still have a letter from the Westfield coach. We played in like probably one of the coldest.
The Cold Bowl.
Yeah. In fact, that was in we played it in '86. It was colder than heck. Okay. And we got back in '87, and we're going, and I says, wait a minute, we're not going out there with just what they used to say. Well, just put nylons on, for the girls, put nylons or something. I says, can't we get those, the
Track tights.
Yeah, exactly. And I looked it up in the book, perfectly legal, and they said, were you the coach?
No,
I think with Charlie. Right.
Charlie
King was the
AD.
guy that says, you're going to look like a green, whatever we said at that.
Well, we were warm.
Cucumber or whatever. But we put them on, but it was so cold. All right. Fortunately, we did have them on. Now, I guess from what I understand, it was the Westfield newspaper came out and said that we sort of like indicated that we were cheating on it.
Right. Well,
And then
when I
got to the book, I got the book out and I sent the coach a note and saying, please check the book. If you're going to badmouth this, at least do it in in the right way.
Right.
And the guy checked it out and he sent me an apology.
Good. Louis, we got a few minutes left, so we're going to move on here. Your secret of success.
Having great kids. There are so many times where you have kids that might think they're just a level above the other kids. Well, one of the things that I try to do is to make sure that everybody is the same. You obviously you can't do that,
Right.
but you try to do it as much as you can, and then that's it. And
Good. How about for the young coaches? As I was telling you before, we got a lot of new young coaches up there. What message would you give them, Coach?
play to have fun. Work hard.
Keep it fun.
Keep it fun for the kids. There are some. In fact, there are a couple situations where I asked a couple of kids to take a couple 2-3 days off, and then come back with a different attitude. Because if you're not going to enjoy the game, and you're going to be having negative vibes down on the field, it's not going to help.
Yeah. Well, we're running out of time, Louis, but I know we want to talk about the Franklin, Tennessee team and some names like O'Reilly, Bongiovanni, Erin Kelly, Sue Kerr, Lisa Gagno, some of these All-Americans. We must have had 12-plus All-Americans on our team, but unfortunately, maybe we'll have to do another show. We have to talk about them later. But what I'd like to do, Louis, on behalf of all the players, and all the past players and all the coaches, years. And thank you for everything you've done for East Brunswick athletics, and in particular what you've done for the girls soccer program. You were a class individual. Our kids always played hard. We played with a lot of dignity, and they knew when they were going to play East Brunswick, it was going to be a hard-fought, clean game. But so Louis, on behalf of everyone, thank you. You know I'm going to miss you, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
So that's it. That brings our show to a conclusion here. And on behalf of Coach Kosa and Frank Noppenberger, thank you.